Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. My name is Nurul Zakira binti Zulkifli and student ID 2024-907971. I am from EDU550, group ED24938. Today, I will be presenting my case study entitled Secondary School Teachers Strategies for Enhancing Student Motivation and Managing Classroom Behavior in Malaysian Classrooms. This study explores how teachers balance motivating students with managing classroom behavior and the challenges they face in doing so. Student motivation and classroom management are both very important for student success, especially in secondary schools. But many teachers in Malaysia find it hard to balance both at the same time because of different student backgrounds, exam pressure, and behavior issues. However, there is not much research that looks into how teachers actually combine motivation strategies with classroom management in real classrooms. That is why I decided to explore this topic. This study focused on three main objectives and their related questions. First, I wanted to explore how secondary school teachers motivate their students. So, my research question is, what strategies do secondary school teachers use to enhance students' motivation, and how do they balance between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation? Second, I examined how teachers manage classroom behavior by creating a good learning environment. So, the research question is, how do teachers manage classroom behavior and maintain a positive learning environment among secondary school students? Third, I wanted to identify the challenges teachers face when trying to do both, motivate students and manage behavior. The research question for this is, what are the common challenges faced by teachers in motivating students while managing classroom behavior, and how do they overcome these challenges? These objectives guided my interviews and analysis throughout the study. My research focused on how secondary school teachers in Malaysia motivate students and manage classroom behavior. I chose this topic because both motivation and discipline are important and often connected, but many teachers in Malaysia struggle to handle both effectively. Woolfolk and Centro explain that students learn better when they feel confident and emotionally supported. Motivation is not just about rewards, but also about how students feel in class. Slavin also showed that motivated students perform better and behave well, especially when teachers use both interest-based and reward-based strategies. Again and Couchard focused on classroom management. They said that clear rules and routines help reduce misbehavior. They also believe motivation and behavioral strategies should be used together. The Malaysia Education Blueprint supports all of this and highlights the needs for teachers to improve both motivation and discipline. For this research, I used several theories from our EDU550 course. First, Maslow's hierarchy of needs explains how students need to feel safe and valued before they can learn to be motivated. Second, Bandura's self-efficacy theory focuses on students' belief in their own ability. If students feel capable, they are more likely to be motivated and engaged. Third, Wiener's attribution theory helps us understand how students explain their success or failure. This affects how hard they try in the future. Next, goal orientation theory explains whether students are motivated by learning or just by performing well in front of others. Finally, Koenig's classroom management theory shows how teacher actions, like setting rules and managing transitions, can prevent misbehavior and keep students focused. These theories help support and guide my research in understanding how motivation and classroom behaviors are connected. This study used a qualitative method to understand how teachers motivate students and manage classroom behavior. The data was collected through semi-structured interviews where teachers answered guided questions and shared their own experience. This method helped the researcher get clear and detailed answers from the teachers in their own words. For this study, I used purposive sampling to select the participants. I interviewed two veteran teachers from College Vocational Balik Pulau. They were chosen based on their years of teaching experience and their ability to provide valuable insights into classroom management and student behavior. The data was collected through semi-structured interviews conducted online using Google Meet. Both teachers were interviewed at the same time in a single session. The interview lasted around 45 to 50 minutes. With their consent, the session was audio and video recorded and later transcribed for analysis. For the interviews, I asked questions based on three main topics. First, I asked about how teachers motivate students. I wanted to know what motivates their students, if they use rewards or praise, and how they help students become more responsible in learning. Next, I asked about how they manage classroom behavior. I asked how they set rules, handle disruptive students, and keep a good relationship with the class. Lastly, I asked about the challenges they face. I asked what is the most difficult about motivation and discipline, how they solve problems, and what kind of help they need. These questions help me understand their teaching methods and real classroom experience. Now, I will explain the similarities and differences between the two teachers' response. For the similarities, both teachers use a mix of extrinsic motivation, like giving rewards or praise, and intrinsic motivation, such as making activities more interesting. They also agree that understanding student behavior is important for managing the classroom effectively. In addition, both teachers mentioned that they need support either from school management or parents, especially when students are unmotivated. Next, for the differences, Teacher 1 used more direct discipline. This includes physical punishment like ketuk ketampi and giving clear consequences for misbehavior. On the other hand, Teacher 2 used a more psychological and strategic approach. For example, moving students to sit near to certain classmates or making them reflect on their actions. Teacher 2 also talked about time limitations and how important it is to plan lessons carefully, especially for long class sessions, something that Teacher 1 didn't mention. Based on thematic analysis, at first, teachers use different ways to motivate students depending on their learning style and interest. For example, one teacher said, "Saya bagi ganjaran seperti RM2." This shows that some students are more engaged when given small rewards, which are a form of extrinsic motivation. Second, classroom management strategies vary depending on student behavior and personality. As one teacher shared, "Saya pindah tempat belajar, duduk dekat dengan pelajar perempuan supaya dia malu." Here, the teacher used peer influence to manage the student's behavior more effectively. Third, teachers face challenge with student focus, especially during theory lessons. One teacher explained, "Lepas 10 minit, fokus dah hilang." This highlight the needs for creative methods to keep the students engaged during class. Next, I will explain how the findings are supported by theories from the literature review. First, based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, students feel appreciated when given praise or rewards. For example,
duit ataupun hadiah lah. Kalau sudah duit je lah senang.
Teacher 1 give cash rewards to motivate students, which supports their self-esteem needs. Second, from Bandura's self-efficacy theory, students become more confident when trusted to lead tasks. Meanwhile,
ada sambil buat tu tanya Datuk cikgu ni macam mana, memang saya akan suruh dia cari dulu.
Teacher 2 is showing how students gain confidence through active roles. Third, based on goal-orientation theory, students enjoy learning more when activities focus on mastery, not pressure. Furthermore,
Seronok. Kalau amali nak buat amali tu memang mereka seronok. Kalau kita ajar teori ni mereka.
Teacher 2 also shared that students are more engaged in practical lesson rather than theory, showing how much practical work boosts motivation. To conclude, this research found that both teachers use a combination of extrinsic and intrinsic motivation to engage students. They also adapted their classroom management strategies based on student behavior and needs. However, they face common challenges such as short student attention spans and limited lesson time. For future research, it will be helpful to explore how students perceive themselves in these strategies. It is also worth looking into the role of technology and including more diverse participants such as novice teachers or students. For recommendations, there are 3 main points. First, schools should provide more support and training for teachers, especially in handling different types of students. Second, parents need to be more involved, both in supporting learning and helping with discipline at home. Third, the Ministry of Education should promote more flexible and student-focused teaching strategies to meet different learning needs. I think that is all from me. Thank you for watching and have a great day.